And then what did she say when you? Oh, hi everybody. Welcome to Series Shenanigans. I'm your host Valerie Lorraine. Happy 4th of July. Celebrate it any way you wish, but we hope here with us tonight. Quentin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing.
You're
I'm
doing
doing.
well.
I'm doing. How's everything going?
You know what? It was a beautiful long weekend here in Canada. I got to celebrate Canada Day, cruise through the weekend, celebrate my special day, and then wind up here for July 4th.
Really? A little hot. It's hot. It's humid. It's sticky. I know
It
you said
is.
it. It was pretty rough up your way, right?
It is. It's very, very humid today, and it appears like there might be a forest fire somewhere nearby because it's got that gray coverage and making the humidity all that worse.
Yeah,
So,
that's got to be rough, man. You know, dealing with that, and then it's already humid, and then you got to deal with that sticky air and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
uh, so what's up for the night? What's the plan for the night?
You know what? I'm always excited when it comes to Tuesday night because I get to do this deep dive interview with people who I respect and admire and want to know more about. And tonight's no different. I have Coach Joss Smalls, who I know from Instagram. He is a wonderful artist, which we're going to be exploring more tonight. He does visual arts and he's also a poet with several books out. So we're going to have a great time with him. We're going to do our regular, serious deep dive interview, and then we're going to move into the shenanigans after and see if we can get some laughter going.
For most people that believe in certain things, they say that 13 is their lucky number, or 13 is the unfortunate number. Hospitals in America don't have a 13th floor. So can this is the 13th episode. So this could be the episode that you just crash and burn.
It could be, but I have to let you know that I found out about 5 years ago that 13 actually does have a positive significance in my life. So
Okay. Okay.
so let's test it.
I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I
no,
don't know,
no. You
Val.
know,
It's just this could be a very interesting night.
it
Like I said,
is,
you know.
and it's like on the cusp of yesterday was the full moon, the harvest moon. So we're really trying. We're trying a lot of different things in life. There's some forces that could be with us or against us, but we're going to find out.
And the board could be giving you a reprieve. So, let's
They
keep our fingers
might.
crossed, our eyes open, everything, so we'll see.
Welcome.
Val, what's good? How are you?
You know what's good? We're here tonight. We're here with you. So excited to be doing this. This is episode 13. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm excited about it.
Well, I was born on Halloween, which is 13 backwards to 31st. And there's also some good in the number 13. I wish I had my notes here, but once you get out of the European idea of the number
Mm-hmm.
13 is really a good number.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm with that. I
Yeah.
am with that. It's 13 has actually been very good to me, and it took me a lot of years to find out. But when I did find out, I was like, okay, we're going with this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
here we go. We're going with this too. My first question to you: what makes Joss Smalls the strong, compassionate artist and poet we have come to know and appreciate?
Wow. There's so much to add to that. I'm the oldest of eight children.
Okay.
Okay. My dad and my mom. My dad was a professional boxer, and my mom was actually is a professional dancer. In fact, and I don't mean stripper pole dancing, right? She's actual
We
dancer,
think
right?
so.
When when she was a couple of months pregnant with me in her womb, she had in one hand she had a scholarship for Alvin Ailey, and in the other hand, she was holding her belly. And the instructor told her she had to make a decision that they could not make for her. So they said to her basically, on this day, you're going to be a mother or a dancer. And so she decided that motherhood was for her. And so I carry that with me, right? And so a lot of the work and ideas I do are generally centered around, in some form of fashion, uplifting the woman. Without woman, we have no humanity, right? And so uplifting woman represents life in itself. And a lot of my work is always geared around that in some form of fashion. Well, some things aren't, but a lot of it, that's where it stems from. And I think having those two on my shoulders, if you would, right? And the wind beneath my wings kind of pushes me a little further, because I'm reminded of, because my father's story was just, oh my gosh, and so having their dark past mixed with the art kind of helps push me and propel me further.
Wow. I just want to say two things. One, you seem to have answered a lot of the questions that I had. Like I literally kind of just went, oh, but I'm still gonna ask them because you get to expand on them.
Yeah.
But that was such a great answer, and I want to let everybody know it is July 4th. So behind our producer, who's behind the scenes, and behind John, you can hear all of the celebrations in full effect. So it's just adding to our ambience tonight.
Yeah.
So get a load of my questions. You come from a large family, which I didn't know that you were the oldest, but I know that you come from a large family. Are they all artistic?
So I have two sisters and I have five brothers. All of my brothers are either rappers or poets.
Wow.
All of my family, in some form of fashion, are into fashion. All of my siblings,
Wow.
right? And one of my sister, who's right underneath me, she stepped more into the culinary arts aspect of it, and she can cook her behind off. My youngest sister, oh my gosh, she actually she makes ink pens, and she puts roses, long stem roses, on the ink pens. It's just how she does with artwork. She's just amazing. And so yeah, we all have some form of magic with art, some form of fashion. All eight children, absolutely.
That is beautiful. So we have had your brother on, Mr. Witz.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like at some point, Serious Shenanigans needs to bring on your whole crew so that we can find out more, because, I mean, a whole family of artists, 8 of them, it would be a wonderful challenge and opportunity.
Yeah, you'd have to get my mom in on that. She would have to.
Oh, she
Well,
has to. She has to tell us all the stories about you guys.
yeah, our mom is also a poet.
Oh,
She does
goodness.
poetry too. So she comes to the open mics and she does her thing too, which is really good. So
Oh, I need to see that. I'm in awe of all of that. And I can appreciate it because I have our family has artists for a few generations, except for not everyone. So that's significant.
yeah.
Amazing. Okay, let's start with your visual arts. So how did you get started doing artwork?
That's a great question. I always wanted to draw. I wouldn't say that. And I'm not the greatest artist when it comes to drawing things. But there's an eye that I have. So if you can see my background, I did that collage of words over my picture. And one day I just had this idea that I wanted to put my poetry in my visions, right? Have images of me and poems running through it and lining that. And so I just figured out how to make it work. I program after program after program, and I figured it. And then so I had these collages, and then I would just dump my poem in it. And so the poem would be a poem about um, I fell in love with a stripper, and then it's in this collage of my face, or my face is in the background, and this poem is stamped on it. And so one of my goals is to have several exhibits up, and the poems that I'll be sharing will actually be in the big poster size and the canvas size images behind me. And so I started that, and then I got a camera and I started taking these pictures, and I started realizing that I had a little. It was fun, but I started seeing some things happening, and so for instance, my last book on compassion, the cover is a bench, and I actually took that picture, and there's pictures inside that I actually took, but I use programs and edit the pictures. I make pictures look like cartoons. Um, yeah, just different things. I just experiment, and it just happens, right? But it's always a feeling. Like I don't just say, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I
Right.
find it, and whatever vibe comes, I do it, and I just go with this image behind me now. As you can see, I love,
It's gorgeous.
and it's a poem in that. I don't remember which poem that is right now, but it's a poem in that, and it just it reminds me of the work behind the art. That's what that says to me, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask our producer if he can bring up a piece or two of your art and maybe roll through it and let you just talk about it. So here's one of your pieces.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, that is Harry Belafonte. And so I did that image before he passed, and it's part of my Black Excellence series. So I have this Harry Belafonte, there's um, Sidney Poitier, Eartha Kitt, Diana Ross, Janet Jackson. And so I picked those images. There's a purpose behind all of that I won't express just yet until I open it up.
Okay.
But the idea behind it is, what does Black excellence mean to you, and where is it? Right? Because there are so many celebrities who do work behind the scenes that we don't know.
Right.
Most people don't know how much work Harry Belafonte has done for inmates, making sure inmates have getting education and getting books that they need, and some of the things that he's done that he never stepped up and say, hey, guess what, world, I'm doing this. But he did it. And so telling their stories with the images is what's going to make it so great. And yeah, I got some amazing plans for that. That's one of my favorites, and I put those on shirts too. I should have worn one today. Yeah, I should have worn one now, but you know.
Okay, Quentin, can we see another one of the pictures, please? Look at that.
Yeah. I've oh my gosh. Just remembering his work, right? And then I wanted to give him more of a cartoonish painting look. So it's not so rough. I didn't want it crisp. I wanted to look like clay. I wanted you to remind you of origin, right? I love that picture. I love that.
I love it too. There's so much texture in it, and so much, like, the way the light's falling and across his hands. It's
right.
It's intriguing.
And
it just makes you really want to draw in and look at it.
Right. I wanted to keep that shade in there because that shade wasn't in the original. And now it looks like he's looking through the blind, right?
Yes.
And he's looking out the window. He's like, okay, what are these people doing on my lawn?
Right? Very much so.
It's like, why are they taking my book and putting it in the where it's banned in certain places? Let me look at these folks and see. Anyway.
Love it.
James Baldwin.
Oh, okay. It took me a minute. Beautiful. Tell us about this.
So this is an emotional piece for me. We don't see in color first. We see like an X-ray. And so everything we see is that light blue, like the light almost. Okay. And so it's, how do you see you? Right? So I'm how do I see me? And I see me in this relaxed state, like the calm before the storm. And there's so much, the spaces that are there's the judgment. It's what people tear away from me. It's what people attach to me that doesn't belong to me. And it's me being at ease that these things are going to happen. People are going to say things. People are going to take things. People are going to expect me to be certain things that I can't be. And me having to be okay with that and still move forward. And so that I haven't named this image, but it's just that it's taking, how do you take from someone and they still remain whole? And they only remain whole because it's how they see themselves as whole. And so these I'm offering to do for other people as well now. And I'll take your
Okay.
image and I'll break it down and I'll put your words in there how you want them. Or I could just do the image without the wording. I can do that too. And yeah, it's all about yours being centered in your today. How do you center yourself in whatever is going on?
Right.
And I'm always being pulled in so many directions. And you know how it is. People say things, family say things, things are just ripped from your essence and it doesn't make you. And you have to be your only reminder every time. Like, I don't care who you're with, you walk out the door alone. I walk out of here alone. And in that, man, I have to be as grounded as I can. And this is the reminder that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, you still gonna be who you are, regardless what they take from you.
I love that. I love that. Gorgeous work.
That is one of
Okay.
my favorite.
Black woman.
That's my baby. That is an image, a painting of Janet Jackson.
Okay.
Okay. And it says it's part of Black Excellence series. So I have a sharper vision image of that, but I needed it to be more of I needed it to be the painting. I needed you to see what the painting looks like. And it says Black woman, it says Miss Nasty, Janet Jackson, icon, Black excellence. Um, it's so much in that. And if you see how the words are clashing, but it's still not taking her out of the picture. It's like it's all about me. This is one of my favorites. I absolutely love that
It's
image.
beautiful.
Yeah,
And I
and
love how you've kept only certain colors.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of there's so much color in it that pops.
Yeah.
But to me, when I look at it, I only see a certain set number of colors.
And Val, I have those in very glossy 8x10s is how I sell them.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you them. I'll get them in a second so you can
Okay.
see. I have different ones, and oh
Stunning.
my goodness, they come out so amazing. They're so amazing.
It looks like amazing.
Y'all
Okay.
giving me chills looking at my own work. Like,
That's the way to do it.
oh my God. This is Mamie Till.
Okay.
This is Emmett Till's mom. And we talk so much about Emmett Till, which we should. We
Yes.
really should. What about Mamie Till? Had she not stood up, we would not know about Emmett. And what did she endure? I wrote a poem about Mamie Till, and it talks about that day. What did that woman, that mother, have to endure? And I didn't want her, she doesn't look hurt like she can't make it, and she looks fierce. Like, I love you, but at the same time, love me past this hurt. Let me show you oh my God. Yeah, this is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites.
Absolutely beautiful. You captured her so well. She's such a significant woman. And I feel like we should just do a whole show speaking about some of these people. Because she took the essence of her grief with her, but she gave it purpose and meaning, and it far surpassed her son's life. It far surpassed, that legacy of what she did will supersede probably even our generation.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love that you captured her.
That image always get me teary-eyed. Yeah, to think about all that she had to endure, it's just
wow. Yeah, no. I know it makes me, to just go through grief can be it can flatline you.
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
everything that she did, she really was able to use her grief as a motivator
Hmm.
for, like, you can't do this, you have to stop doing this, and just incredible.
She was so major in the civil rights movement. Major.
Yeah,
Yes. So major.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
my next question probably seems a little like I probably should have asked it way at the beginning, but are you political in the visual message that you portray in your art?
I would say I am. I would say I am. And I say that, let me say it this way. You cannot live in a political world and not be political, especially as an artist. And I didn't say survive, because you can survive, but you
Absolutely.
cannot live.
Yeah.
And so I'm very vocal about that in my work. And it's not party influenced, but it's about being in a political stance for what is right for humanity.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I applaud you. I applaud anyone who stands up to do that, because sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes it is not popular, but it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that it's not right.
Right. Right.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stop for 1 second. I'm going to welcome everybody to the room. We see you. I see you making comments. I know that there are people still in the room. They might not have signed into their account, so they're not able to make comments. But thank you so much for joining us. This is Serious Shenanigans on the Let's Talk YouTube channel. This is our very special guest, Coach Joss Smalls. And I am Valerie Lorraine. We would like to welcome you to subscribe to our channel, like, share, and go ahead and hit that notification bell, because there's a lot of shows on this channel and you will get apprised of all of them, not just mine, but mine. So if you like what you see, next week you can be back here without me poking at you. We are going to carry on. So what inspires you to create?
Most of my work again is just influenced by how I feel, right? So let's take a step back. And 20 days after my 19th birthday,
Mm.
they ran into my home and tried to rob me for my DJ equipment, and I was shot 4 times, right? So I'm down. The only thing I had was my art after that. Several years later, actually 5 years later, I moved to North Carolina, working a job, hurt on the job. Yo, you disabled out of work. You can't go back to work. I'm like, listen, I can work. They're like, listen, you cannot. So they disabled me out of work. Now the lawyer's saying you can't take out the trash, you can't cut grass, you can't do anything. You just got to sit and look crazy. And so I'm home and I'm sitting and I'm in pain. And now my back's hurting. I got more pain now, right?
Okay.
And the only thing I had then was a pen and a pad. And I began writing. And I was a party promoter when I moved down to North Carolina. And I ended up calling my brother Wiz. It was like, yo, we start open mic night. That's it. And the art just started coming more. And so it's always off of, I say the people who are hurt the most write the best, to become the best artists. I agree with that in some ways. I agree with that because
If they're
hurt
willing
has
to,
pushed a lot.
if they're willing to give it, if
If
they're
they're
willing
willing
to
to
put it
give
in
it,
there.
absolutely. And so, and I don't just write hurt poems, but from that energy, I'm able to write. So I'm inspired by that. What happens when I'm hearing,
Mm.
when I'm going through the fact that I'm not drinking coffee anymore. I hadn't had a full glass of coffee in about almost a month now.
Wow.
Yeah,
You know what?
yeah.
You've got me, because I was like cooking it up. So yeah, that music. I went downstairs. I'm like, I'm making an iced coffee. There's a bit of coffee left in the pot. We're doing coffee. I was like, I'm gonna be up all night, but it's okay. It's worth it. That's incredible. And I love that. I love that because you've probably heard me say it before, but I believe that when we put our vulnerability into our work, whether it's visual arts, whether it is poetry or a
Mhm.
novel, we really do have to let down some of those guards and step out of our comfort zone, because it's not always comfortable,
Mm-mm.
but it's endearing to people. They can feel it. And that's what they're looking for, right? The
Yeah.
expression that they can relate to, and the expression that maybe they're not even able to make. I know myself as a writer. Here I am, a writer, and I've read certain pieces and said, that's exactly what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, a little bit of line envy.
Well,
Right?
some people need a reason to go on.
Yeah.
And we don't even know those folks are at the edge. They are looking for what's going to make me go on. And sometimes it's a simple phrase to say, you know what? I'm sorry that happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a study on that. People who were incarcerated, right? And careers that continue on the criminal field, and people who gotten their things corrected. And they said the only difference within those folks was someone saying, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That
Yeah.
is so unfortunate. And those people went on and did better things with their lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I started out with it. I see when I listen to your poetry, there's some that hold a great message of compassion. In fact, there's one entire book that we're going to talk about in a bit
Ah.
that holds so much compassion, and it is so I want to say endearing, even though I've the writer in me saying you already said that word, Valerie, but it captured me
Mhm.
in a whole new way. But we're gonna get to that story because it's incredible all on its own. So are there artists out there in this world that inspire you or inspire your work?
Tons. Oh my God. I always get poets who ask me to I'm trying to get the right wordings, but read their book and write a review.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm inspired. I'm inspired by hearing some of these poets get on live for the first time, and poets talk about some things. There's some poets who write things that, oh my, and I'm not talking about the big name poets. I'm not talking
Right.
about the poets you've read about in school. I'm talking about local poets that I've met during the pandemic, and some before, and some I'm meeting now. And they're writing some work that I'm like, my gosh, I wish I wrote like that. I wish I wrote that. And those are the ones, because you're supposed to be inspired by the big names, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to. I'm talking about people who I can pick up the phone and call. I can send them an Instagram message and say,
Right.
hey, you know what? That poem did it for me. I'm so inspired by those folks, and the ones that constantly just keep on working and keep on pushing this. I'm going to say there's a poet named Mary Ann Peterson.
Oh, incredible.
And Mary Ann, oh my gosh, has probably a million books, it seems like. And I
She's working on your
remember,
nights.
you know what I mean? And she's always working. If that doesn't inspire you to work, then you probably need to find a new career.
It's true. And you know what? I'm going to say that just a couple hours before we came on the show, I seen one of her Facebook posts. It's lovely. She updates people, and she said, I'm on the last page of my book.
That's what I'm
Right.
talking
So
about.
I think this is her 9th book that she'll be putting out. And she's that tell it as it is poet.
Mhm.
Right. She's
I,
like a shotgun poet to me. Right. Because she says it.
I call her straight no chaser.
There you go. Exactly. I love that.
But
That's
I
incredible.
she's her worth ethic is inspirational.
It is.
Period.
It
And
is.
she's a reminder that I don't care what's going on. If this is what you do, then do it. Because no matter what's going on in her life, she's always like, this happened, everything is out of whack. I'm writing my book.
Yeah.
I'm almost finished my book. I just posted my last book. That is inspiration.
It is. It really is. And if I add to it too, right? She doesn't care what anybody thinks about her either.
No.
And that is a lesson in itself.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that for some of us, right, we have to get over that hurdle before we can get to that level.
To that level.
Yeah. She's definitely, you hit a great inspiration right there. I love that. Okay, we're going to switch over to your poetry. I know everybody that in our circle, everybody extended through our circle knows you as a poet. So that's why I wanted to start with your art. Plus, to I have a great love for your art. So I could not have you on without really diving into your artwork. So thank you for being both people. What is your favorite topic to write about, if you have one? Questions get harder from here.
So in all honesty, right, there's two that are my favorites. And so I love writing poetry about my family, in particular about my two daughters, right? And I'm working on the one for my sons right now. And I did a poem for my granddaughter that was absolutely because I was trying to find her, and I was trying to find her, and I finally got to meet her last month for the first time, and she just graduated from middle school. And so writing poems for my family, in particular the women, right, that are of my loins, if you would, right?
Yeah.
And then I again focusing so much on who my mom has always been in my life, and I'm gonna try not to get emotional here.
Okay.
I write a lot about Black women because that's all I knew.
Mm.
And my mom and dad did not have a pretty relationship, but my mom was woman enough to not dog my dad in whatever he missed or whatever he could not or whatever he did not. And it takes one strong human to take her bitter and tuck it way deep down for the love of her children.
Mm.
And again, going back to the origin of humanity comes from woman and traced back to a Black woman in Africa. And
Yeah.
so when I write about Black women, I'm writing about all women. And so that is always one of my favorite topics. In fact, for Women Awareness Month, I did a whole one man show called She Is that I'm going to do an audio book, and it's going to be coming out soon. And it's all poems that is uplifting women, and that's always been my favorite. And I don't know why. I don't know why, but I know my mom is a major part of that because of who she has always been in my life and in my career. When she comes to my events, she's the greatest supporter you can have. Greatest supporter you can
That is beautiful. Your mother sounds incredible. I now have to meet your mother.
have.
I have to see the woman who created the two men of your family that I know of. And I have great respect for both of you. So that says a lot there about your mom. Okay. What topic do you feel is incredibly important to write about? You probably just answered that, but you might
Well,
not have.
so for me, I don't think there's one more stronger than the other, right? Because even if it's an erotic poem, it's still major in life,
Mm.
right? You still have to have that to keep life going. But I think as a writer, as an artist, as a poet, I think the importance is to give history and give it like scripture. And what I mean by that is it's in today, but it's about the tomorrow that's to come. And it may be a tomorrow that many of us never see.
Mm.
But let us write about those sands that only know footprints and don't know a complexion. Let us write about those doorways we walk in, and an application is simply you apply for this job that you qualify is yours. Doesn't matter what your name is or who your mom was or what your descendants did. So I think that it's important to focus on writing that so that someone reads it out loud and makes it a reality, even if it's a reality that's way down the line. But I think it should be all artwork should represent like scripture, meaning this is now for what will be tomorrow.
I love that answer because I'm very cognizant as you're speaking that of speaking into existence, right? And we need to plant the seed as writers, as people who have a voice, even if it's a small community that our voice is heard in, let it echo.
Yeah.
Let it echo. Let people soak that in, and hopefully plant the seed of change, because change, one, is inevitable, but
Mhm.
two, the change you speak of is something that a vast majority of us
Yeah.
are also hoping that seed is planted and heard and grows.
Yeah.
I'm loving your answers. This is a fantastic interview, in my opinion. Okay. Do you think that as an artist, you should carry the responsibility of advocacy? And so, in this question, I'm not just speaking of you, I'm speaking collectively.
I don't believe there's an option. And I say that because unless you're keeping everything inside and it never breathes, right? It's just in a dark room and it never gets out. And you know, the moment you no longer exist, it's just going to burn and turn to ashes and nobody's going to see it. I think that's the only escape, because it's going to get out and your message will get out. And I don't say that everything has to be pointed in that direction, right? Everything doesn't have to be that, but you're giving art, you're giving life through your art, right? It's not just the painting, it's not just the story, it's not just the book. Somebody's intaking every bit of that energy. So, what are you saying to that spirit that you don't know, that you may never meet? Somebody may pick up my book and never know my name, never Googled me to see if they could find me on Google, right?
Right.
And they're going to read something and say, wow, I never thought about it like that. And just like that, we just gave life to an idea that may have never existed if it wasn't written or painted or quoted in such a way. So I don't think as an artist, you don't have a choice. Everything has to have some more value than it looks good or sounds good.
I agree. And if I could add to that, not to, but I also think it's a development that happens over time with our art,
Mhm.
because you have to be ready. But when it strikes you to that point, it's not comfortable. I know it wasn't for me,
Mhm.
in my advocacy, but the value that it holds for others is so significant.
Mhm.
And as we all know, as writers, when we write, we start off that it's for us, but the minute that we let it go to the public, it's no longer ours, it's theirs.
Yeah.
And so when you're ready, your message should be something that is going to be impactful to them. I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that answer. Okay, so I have one more question, and then we're going to bring up your book covers and ask you to tell us about your books and share some of your poetry with us. I love this question. This is the one and only question that I recycle. As you may or may not have been able to tell, the questions were tailored just for you. This is generic. If you could invite three people from history to share dinner with you, who would you want to spend the time talking with?
Mm. Woo!
Right?
Wow. I would definitely like to meet my mother's dad, my biological grandfather.
Okay.
I definitely would like to meet him. Um, I would like to sit and have great conversations with. Um, I have to put two people in one, only because of how it was. I would love to have the conversation with Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad,
Okay.
and I'm saying that because growing up in the nation, and I won't get into a lot of stuff that I'm definitely not going to say what the media has said, but there's conversations that I feel would escalate humanity now. And I'm not saying escalate black people. I said escalate humanity now, right? Because what people don't understand, they're meeting was to bring Black people to a level so that we can maneuver with the people who are non-Black in that period. And I think a lot of people miss that. But I want that conversation. I
Yeah.
want that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 2 and 1.
Right.
My third person, and it's tough because there's so many greats, right?
There are. There are. Trust me. You could ask me every day, and my answer would
It'd
change.
be different. It'd
They
be so
would.
different.
They do, because like I do these questions every week, and every week that I sit down and I think, oh, and this week I have different answers.
Yeah. So I would say, in all honesty, Robert Small, who was the first Black senator of South Carolina,
Okay.
who was what I was told, and I need to confirm this, but I was told that when he came over here on the ship, that one of the children on the ship was my grandmother,
Oh wow.
and I was told that makes him a descendant. I'm a descendant of his, family, and so having that conversation would lead me to know whether or not, check this out, Frederick Douglass is actually my family, because my grandmother is buried where Frederick Douglass is buried. And back then they didn't bury people unless they were family. And so that would open up a whole avenue of history for me. For my grandfather, I would find out where that came from. Where did that last name come from, which is a Dutch last name, which is leading back to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Also, my mother's last name, from the married side, Small, which is also from the Caribbean. But it answers a lot of that for me to
Oh,
tell
okay.
me who I am
Right.
before slavery made me who I became.
Okay, so I think what we need to do is send this clip to that show, and I can't remember what it's called at this point, but I don't know if you've seen it. I watched it on Netflix, and
Yes.
so we need to send this clip to them and say like, hey, we have something, and if you and your brothers and sisters wind up on the show,
Listen,
we'll be
yes,
excited to watch it.
Chubby Checker is a cousin of mine, I was told. Like, I have a history of family who really
Is
have
artistic
been here. And so I'm
and
like,
famous.
yeah.
And it makes sense because of just what I know of your family. And that is like this much. Oh, I gotta move over this much a bit more. But but just what I know, you have big personalities, but they're packed with a great love of humanity, and a great you have a lot of humility, as does your brother, right? But the aura that you give off is huge, so I can imagine. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna get Quentin to bring down your book covers. We're
Okay.
gonna get you to talk about your books, and you can take as much time or as little time as you want with it. And then when you want to stop, if and give us a piece, if it happens to do with that book, you can leave it up on the screen. However you'd like to do this.
Okay. So let me break down this book. And I'm
Okay.
going to tell you, this was one of my most precious books that I've written. And I'm saying that because I wrote this book. This is the first collaboration with myself and my brother, Mr. Witts.
Okay.
And so what we did was, and it's getting big, it's getting better. What we did was we talked to some veterans that we knew,
Okay.
and we wrote their story in poetry. And then there was some workshops that I did that was based on war and images of war. And we took some of that and we mixed that in with the poetry. And so we told real stories, for the sake of honoring veterans. Then to make it even grander, we called it Mr. AJ AJ Houston.
Yes.
And we asked AJ, would he write the forward and would he be willing to contribute? And so AJ became a major part of the creating part of the book, the design of the book, and then he published it with his publishing company.
Wow.
And then we got deeper into AJ's giving his service to the military because he was in the military.
Okay.
And we learned a great deal about that. And so AJ found all the wars that the United States had been in, wars that he was in the military and didn't even know these were wars going on.
Wow.
And we wrote all of these things down. And so I think personalizing it and attaching it to actual humans who actually were at war. One of the guys that we wrote about blew himself apart. Body parts just blew apart. And there's some that we didn't get in this one because we're supposed to do a part 2.
Okay.
And then I got a whole new thing I'm doing from that. So it's a whole lot to come after this. But this book was such a blessing because I was honored to share it with Mr. Witts and AJ Houston. That was the most
Incredible.
beautiful part. I mean, it's just imagine having the time that we had to put into the book, the work, and figuring out. It took us a while to get the right triggers to fit into the wording. It was such an amazing journey, and I couldn't have asked for 2 better brothers to be there with me, but those 2 could have been.
So I'm loving the cover because it has that camouflage kind of look to it. Yet if you zone in a little bit, you can see that they are all soldiers, and I see guns. I see some that are defined a little bit more than others. Incredible artwork.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And AJ he went to work.
He's a powerhouse.
He is.
Incredible. Okay, next one. The Black Light.
The Black Light. So when I began writing this book, the black light is basically, the light they put on when they're trying to expose the crime scenes. They're looking for things that are invisible to the naked eye.
Right.
And I began writing this book, and my uncle was not doing very well at the time, and I was talking with him a bit, and this book was really my journey, right? A lot of my growing up, and I wrote it poetically, but I wrote it as if I was my younger me writing. And I was so happy to get this book done. And this book, we lost my uncle in the process of me getting this book for him to come see it. He never got to see it. And I put his a poem for him in the book. But this book here, and I challenge writers to do this. I challenge you to write from your younger self. It is not an easy thing. Your vocabulary is not the same, right? And so you have to go back to that. And I wrote as if I was that younger self writing these poems. And this was my second book that I published. And the artwork, actually, my lady did the artwork. She took the picture and jazzed it up. I didn't do a lot of work to it. And so yeah, and it's kind of hard for me to even read from this book now because it reminds me of my uncle so much. And the first poem in there was dedicated to him. And I wanted him to have it, and we lost him on the way up there. We lost him on the way to New York for him to see it. And yeah. So
very significant. Beautiful.
Yeah. It was a very challenging write for me too, because I was writing from that younger self, and the language is of such. So
yeah, as you were talking about that, I was trying to give it a quick thought without losing concentration on what you were saying, and I was thinking, yes, that would be very challenging, especially when of all the growth as writers that we've done since we started to go back, even maybe becoming an author, that would be significantly difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for the next one? There we go.
That's my beautiful mother.
Oh, lovely.
So this is the first book I published. And it says my thoughts, #Black love, because it's just Black love in relationships, family, relatives, spousal, just relationships with human beings that you love, and it's a mixture of it. And I put this collection together. My mom did not know I was using that image. She actually has a huge painting of that picture that I took the picture from. So it
Love
was a shock when I brought it to her. She didn't have a clue. She didn't know what to say. Um, and this was my very first book that I published, and that is a beautiful woman there, inside and out.
Oh, I love it. And I
Yeah.
love how once again, um, although there's a varying of shades, it appears really that there's three colors. You know, I
Mhm.
love that because it really captures the eye and makes you just zone in and try and take it all in. Very well done.
I wanted her to look like first thing in the morning, fresh.
Mm,
And the artist who did is a friend of hers that it was actually she has actual picture, and then
yeah.
she had an artist who painted it, and it did such a great job. And she just looks so she looks like just a great sea, just water, just still and pleasant and peaceful. And oh my gosh, I have that book. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Dave. Right.
Love to
Yeah. Whew, yeah, that's my baby right there.
hear it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so the next one.
Oh,
Okay. 101 love oh, uh, love notes from
and
dad.
dad.
Okay.
At the time, my 17-year-old daughter was going through a serious depression.
Oh no.
And you never know what it feels like for your child to say, I don't want to live anymore.
Okay.
And she said that, and I didn't know what to do. And so I just wrote her letters and notes every day, every day. Some were attached to pictures, some were just, you know, and some we did not put in this book. But we did not know this was going to be a book. It did
Right.
not start off as such. What I want people to know is that I wrote this book because I was trying to keep my daughter alive.
Right.
Every story I reminded her of, every time I said, I love you and that I miss you
Mm-hmm.
and that I want your smile to save my life now. Every time I mentioned that in this book, I wanted her to know that I don't live if she doesn't.
Right.
And so that book was every bit of me was capsulized in every word in that book.
Phenomenal.
Every bit. There was no way possible I could have found those words had she not said that to me.
I think that it's absolutely beautiful that you were able to turn this into a book because I'm sure that there's people out there who are in the same situation and they don't know what to do or say. And it's just that outpouring of love because some things you can't say.
Yeah.
You can't chastise them. You can't shake them out of it to say, right, but you can love on anybody. And what a beautiful um what a beautiful essence to grab it all together and offer it to everyone.
I'm gonna share this when before this book was finished,
Hmm.
and I read it at I've hosted open mics for the past 10 years, and I was hosting an open mic and I read a few of the poems, and this woman, I don't know where she's from, but she's from the eastern part of the globe,
Hmm.
and she bust out in tears. And I went and I sat with her when I brought the next artist up to the mic, and she said to me, she said, my dad is a military man. And I know my dad loves me with every bit of his being, but I know he can't find those words.
Mm.
If he could, I know my dad would say those words.
Oh.
And I think um, that was the moment when I knew this book was bigger than us.
Right.
And then there was a poet that I met who does work for, um, she helps women with their daddy daughter issues
Okay.
because a lot of women have them and don't have the outlet. They don't have significant others that they can have those kinds of conversations with. What I dare tell anyone, if you buy this book and you have daddy daughter issues, just buy a notepad. And when you read, go ahead and write. It doesn't have to be a poem, but go ahead
Right.
and write. Half the time, your father doesn't even understand. And I'm saying that from being a man. He didn't even understand. Don't worry about it, because if you had to live in his shoes, you don't know, number one, if you would have done the same thing or worse. Number two, you don't even know if you would have survived.
Mm.
You
Right.
don't know.
You don't know.
And I know there are situations that are far beyond my meager vocabulary to help you through, but I guarantee you this: love will mean something different inside if you took time to learn it.
Absolutely. And so we're just going to sidetrack for a second. I'm not going to get too far into this, but I just want to let people know as well that you have a significant number of journals for working through all kinds of different scenarios and situations. So, not only do you write poetry that has substance and is relatable to people's lives, life changing, we could
Mm,
say, but you also have this other capacity where you've put out this huge number of journals on all different topics to help people get through what they're going through. I'm just gonna leave it at that and say that I believe that they can all be found on Amazon under your name,
absolutely.
Jaw
Absolutely.
Smalls.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you need to just go to Amazon and type in Jaw, Jah,
Hmm.
pronunciation, small, and then you can find all of these.
Yeah.
And if there's something specific that you're looking for, you will find it. And I can tell you from knowing this poet, we're going to get a sample in a moment of his work. But yes, it is absolutely triggering, but in good ways,
Hmm.
and relatable. And there's compassion, there's love, there's advocacy, there's, wow, it just, you're going to have to experience it yourself if you don't already know. Okay, so is there one more slide? I think, I'm not sure.
Yes. On compassion.
So this is
Uh,
where I was introduced to you at. You were, this was we hadn't known each other for very long, and I became aware of your writing through this book. So here's us.
oh wow. So this let's go back. I work closely with Levine Museum in the New South.
Okay.
I do many of their functions. And they told me that they had a function that was centered around homeless awareness, and they would like me to do a poem for it. And I said, "Oh, so y'all don't know, as a kid, I used to talk to, I have friends who lived on the streets. I talked to the adults that lived in the subway train stations, the people who slept on park benches, and the people who didn't have a place to go but were offered to buy me a soda and got offended if I didn't let them buy me a soda, and they slept in cardboard boxes." I said, "I do you one better." And I got a buddy of mine who's a visual artist who paints all the time, and he actually painted some images, and I took some pictures, and I wrote a book of poetry dedicated to homeless awareness. all the stories in these poems are of folks that I have actually laid my eyes on and or had conversations with. None of this is fabricated. None of this is pull it out from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of those poems have some significance to a real live human being. And so I wanted people to understand that before these are homeless people, these are human beings.
Right.
And I took this is the picture of the bench that I took at the park, because we always think of homeless people and we think of a bench first,
Right.
but they don't always sleep on a bench.
No. No.
They don't. But I know I didn't want to have a picture of someone sleeping in a cardboard box on the cover. I was not doing that.
No.
I don't even like to use the term homeless, right? It's almost, it's inhumane.
It
It's
is.
inhumane. It's inhumane.
What
Um,
term do you prefer, or do you?
I don't know. I don't know that I even use the term. I say it out of you know I guess out of habit, and that's what's being said, and that's what's being addressed. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about homelessness, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I don't know that I have a term in particular that I use, and maybe I need to get one, but uh, I'm not at liberty to share some things. But there's some big things going to happen now that this book is here, within the hands of some folks, and very, very proud of this book. AJ Houston, again,
Mm-hmm.
did some work on this book for me as well. And so he did the cover and he formatted the whole book for me as well. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Mm,
I'm just fiddling with my phone for a second. I
it's okay.
apologize. But,
No, no, no.
we're at the point of my phone's life where the battery wants to die all the time. So we're
Uh-oh.
just playing with the charger to make sure we don't end. There
Got
we
it.
go.
Got
Okay.
it.
We're safe. Um, Absolutely incredible. Your artistry, your poetry, your books. We're going to hear your poetry in a moment. I knew that this was going to be a powerful interview, just from what I know from you. And my goal is to always, if I do know the person, to get more out of them. So I feel like we have succeeded and we're not done yet. So, can I get you to share a piece with us?
Yeah, I
We're
actually
gonna
picked
get you to share
two.
two, but I'm gonna have a break in between because
Okay, because I picked two specifically for this that kind of go together, but I can
yeah,
do one and come
perfect.
back. That's fine.
Well, we're gonna. You're just gonna let me have a chance to say how much I love it, and
Okay,
then you can read the other one.
that's fine. I'll start with this one first. I hate having to connect this way, living under this blanket that can't give comfort. Seems I'm fighting for nothing. Purpose has yet to make sense these days, and I'm already 50. Spent decades trying to walk on my own, but it's not fun. It doesn't feel safe. And somehow someone's eyes always find me drunk and paints me whatever color they love. I've wondered how this happened. Like, who prayed for this? Prayed that this would become my rite of passage. Maybe no one prayed at all. And I've become hopeless, and God can't hear me anymore. I'd much rather sit at a riverbed and wash my feet in salted water, hoping somehow some God could wade me out of my sin. And I know sin is such a big word, just easily fitting into any equation. Maybe that's why they wrote the Bible in the first place, because someone needed to point a finger at someone else. I don't know what God said, but I know being the firstborn ain't it. No one to protect me or become a hero. No hero has ever learned my language. No one gave me an idea that didn't please them first. And now I'm the bad guy. the one who found a rhythm and decided to turn it into a melody. He who swallowed everything I was force fed and still licked my fingers in the end. So I poem because shit hurts sometimes. And pain kept me from work. And all I had left was bad relationships. So I poemed until someone heard me. I poem because no one hears me. Poems have a way of spilling all of the sauce and still never find the right shirt to stain. I am a problem child walking in a grown man's body. A spoiled spirit, free versing his way into someone's misfortune. At least that's what they told me. No way I can find me some right now unless I'm taking it from someone else. Something when I was young, something had to happen because someone younger than I always needed more attention, and manning up became a catchphrase I learned way too early. I just wanted me some right now, some me time. Some us time, a chance to know mom and dad without someone else interfering. So maybe I am selfish. Maybe I am just a bit cocky because being born first gave me a right to want to hold on just a little longer to everything that belonged to me first. First born. You know, the ancestors taught us that children claim their parents before they become infant within their mother's womb. I understand now. That's why I chose mine. Because who else would build me this way to hold on to all this weight? Since I've been trapped in this space, I knew I would have to live here. Maybe I am a little selfish. But then again, maybe I'm just a little tired.
Whew. Oh, there is so much packed in that poem. Absolutely fantastic. I love you talking about your birth order. Significant to me because that's not my birth order. So, I got to hear it from a different perspective, what my only sibling felt. So, I love when poetry becomes relatable to you, even if that's not your situation. That is a powerful voice that you have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're gonna let you get right into the second one because you said they're together for a purpose.
Yeah, they roll together. When you come from nothing, everything has more value than you do. Life has a sweetness you can't taste. Footsteps in sand you will never walk in. Life seldom open doors to free your happiness. I come from love, which means I ate, slept, and drank family before the sun found a sky. So I know what it's like growing up in love and having everything you needed and seldom having the things you wanted. Fortune puzzled itself in the lines of open palms and prayers that the neighbors thought were songs. And we prayed often and asked God to keep us whole and far away from a raft. You see, I know I am not perfect, but it feels like the firstborns are expected to be. Like all the answers are printed on our eyelids, and every time we blink, someone is expecting us perfect, but I am not perfect. But I am one hell of a dreamer. I dream big, even when sleep doesn't find me. I dream of elegant walkways and skylights hovering over amazing kitchens. I dreamt one day I stood before a crowd and strangers gave their hard-earned money to hear my heartbeat written on notebook paper. Again, I know I am not perfect, which means mistakes find me every time someone else doesn't answer the call. That It's called being alive. A spiritual being having a human experience. What I'm saying is the oldest child is always wrong, always under the bus when a sibling misunderstands. The firstborn has to have a voice, even if no one hears him speaking. And I'm tired of yelling in silence. Every decade, hope and volume finds my word, and troubled times bend a direction that doesn't call my name. I am not one to have bad times on speed dial. And at the same time, bad news loved my address, and trying to redirect it feels like losing my superpowers. I do not have superpowers. And sometimes it feels like the only way I can stay alive is learn to swim, and I can't swim. So floating in bad relationships became my prison, and I drowned in lemonade I haven't written yet. I promise you, I am not perfect at all. And for the last 8 years, I've been learning to love my brokenness back. But when you come from nothing, everything has more value than you do. So I tell you this, I come from love. And that, my friend, is the only thing that makes me feel beautiful.
Ooh. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. And the emotion in your voice, you stayed in that nice, calm, soothing voice that we know and love, but you still could hear all of the emotion, the brokenness, the healing. I can't say enough about your work.
Thank you.
There you go.
I had to learn a lot about being the firstborn, man. And I can only write from where I'm at, and I'm working on this one man show about being the firstborn, and that's in that prism. So these are new pieces that you're hearing. And so yeah.
Exclusives. We love that here. I just want to let you know, so while you were reading, there was so many wonderful comments about your work. All of the comments stay in the replay.
Okay.
So you'll get an opportunity, but I want to thank everybody in the room who is able to comment for really expressing how you felt about Jaw's work, because I know I'm not alone in how much I adore this gentleman's work. It is it is phenomenal to see. For a writer, I really need a thesaurus, because the same words just want to pop out all the time.
Me too.
Right. This week I'm stuck on phenomenal, significant, and fantastic. That's my words of the week.
Turn them to colors. Turn them to colors.
Right.
Turn them to colors.
Right. Okay.
So if you turn them to colors, right, even if you don't use the color, you can still find the word after you find the color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in if I was to turn what I'm trying to say to you into a color, I would have to go with, this is what came to mind, and you're gonna laugh at me because it's fireworks. Right? There's an explosion, a beautiful explosion of color that when you look in the sky, you're left in awe, and it's mesmerizing. You get the oohs and the ahs, but on top of that, it's memorable. Right? So that is how I view your work, and that means that I have an even more powerful connection, because we've had many conversations.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to me, because as you spoke of before, right, you could be inspired by all these greats, but there's no conversations behind it. So these people that we actually get to know through our community, their work becomes more tangible to us, because we can have conversations, even if they're not necessarily about the work, but they're just you get to know that person, whether it's a little bit or whether it's a little bit deeper. Their work just takes on a whole new meaning to you.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at least from my side of the screen.
Do you know what my favorite color is?
I don't know.
Now that you said fireworks, orange.
Orange. Okay.
And when the fireworks, it's always some orange that comes out at some point.
Right.
Yeah. So that was
Okay.
my chair is orange. You probably can't see it, but it's my
No,
chair.
because we got a little bit of it through the green screen that's being used. Okay. So here's how we're going to end this portion of the interview. I always ask my guest, we've had such a great interview, and yours and mine, like, we went over, which is perfectly fine, the time I usually allot. But is there anything that I didn't ask you or that we didn't touch on that you would like to leave us with, or the audience to know?
Oh, I don't know. I think I opened up. You gave me a nice leadway to open up to some things. So I don't know what else I could say unless the audience had something.
Okay, well, I do have
Yeah.
one thing that I'm
Okay.
not going to let you leave without. So for those people come to watch this show and they're interested to find out more about you and where they can find you,
Mhm.
please let them know, because I know you have other things that go on. So where can they find you? Where can they find more information about you?
Now that is an excellent question. And so I'm on Instagram, Coach Josh Smalls, and TikTok, Coach Josh Smalls Poetry. Now, I'm glad you asked that. What I'm working on now is I'm going to do a Saturday morning journal writing session. And it's going to be Saturday mornings, probably around 11ish. And so you don't have to purchase my journal to be in it, but
But it's
um,
recommended.
it's
I
recommended.
recommend it.
Well, the reason I recommend it is because which I don't think people buy journals that are pretty enough to want to write in.
Right.
We buy journals that we're trying to hide and we don't want others to see, but if it doesn't look inviting, you're not going to write. And so I don't have one that I want you to see right now, but I like journals that make you want to write. You see what I mean? I want you to want to write to a journal as opposed to just having a journal that does not fit. Uh-oh. Did we freeze? Uh-oh. Am I? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. I can't hear you.
Okay, I'll go down and come back in.
I hear you now.
Okay, good.
Okay,
I
okay.
did. I was like, oh no.
I was like, was it the journal? You didn't see.
So what I heard too was that the journals are pretty and that
Right.
they want to write in them because they're pretty. Oh my God, it's
So
gorgeous.
I want you to have journals that look pretty and inviting. This is just one.
Gorgeous.
And so if you have a journal that doesn't look inviting, why would you write in it? You're not going to want to pick it up. And mine's are colorful and flowery and butterflies. So anyway, the goal is to two things happen. We come to this, so I can teach you how to safely begin writing in your journal.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we just write and then we're in the dumps and now we're depressed and we don't know how to get out of that. And that's not a safe space to be. So yeah, we follow me on TikTok and Instagram, Coach Josh Smalls and Coach Josh Small Poetry on TikTok. And I'll answer all my inboxes unless it's crazy stuff, but I'll answer you.
Right.
And yeah.
Okay.
I'm very Google friendly.
There you go. I agree. So wonderful. Okay. So at this point, we're going to, we've done all the serious that we can do. I think we did it really well. I was very well behaved, and we got some serious stuff, and we learned lots about Coach Jaw. So now we're going to move into some of the hopefully funny stuff, but definitely lighter stuff. So there we go. So I didn't realize I was stealing something when I said play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Apparently it's out there, but I don't care. It's exactly what we're doing. So okay, so I do recycle a few questions because I'm absolutely waiting for somebody to hit my answer, and when they do, I'll have to toss that question. But so the first question is: you are now a burglar, okay? But you only take things from your victims that are probably going to slightly, you know, put them out of whack. It's only slightly going to inconvenience them. So, what are you taking?
Ashtrays.
I'm a smoker. You are bothering me right now. You are bothering me a lot. You win. That was a good one. Is that the only thing you're going to take?
What else could I take? I don't know. Oh, you know what I could take? I could take pot holders.
Evil. Pure evil. Okay. So for that, you won this. Do you know what this is?
No, what is that?
So you don't know what this is? Do you know what this is? Right?
That's for the door to lock the door.
Right. So you've won it. And the beauty thing about you winning this is you're gonna need it, because when you go to leave the room that you're in, I took that. Okay. I know you a little while. So what conspiracy theories have you started recently?
Oh, which is really funny. Right?
Okay.
So I just saw the video of the Tupac whole situation.
Right.
When he got shot in the studio.
Yep.
And all the stuff that I told everybody what really happened came out. Like there's a few things that I didn't have the information on, but everything, when I saw that, I saw it just yesterday, which is crazy.
Oh, you have to send that to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to everything that I said came out. And everybody say, yo, you said, I said, yo, I told you.
And so now are you going to write a book about all the conspiracy theories that you do know? No, some of them you don't. They're still under wrap and key for now. Okay. Are you going to piecemeal them out one at a time? I just want to know, because I want to be on the in crowd.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. Maybe. All right. That was a good one. This one's recycled because I'm still waiting for the right answer in my books. No wrong answers though. What is something that everybody looks stupid doing?
Everybody looks stupid doing. I would probably say the Macarena.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think everybody looks real silly doing that.
Real stupid. I don't disagree. It's a good thing that that's not like really, like it's kind of old school, but it does still happen. Yeah, I kind of agree. Well, not my answer, but I agree. Toilet paper, over or under?
Over.
Okay. This is serious stuff. I ran this by my manager. Like, that's not a funny question. It's serious. Okay. Second follow-up one: pizza, pineapple or not?
Yes, absolutely pineapple.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with you too. Right. Like I'm a big foodie, and I'm for pineapple. But some people like there could be wars over that.
That's disrespectful.
Right. And some people won't even let you do half and half.
And they can buy their own pizza.
See, this is why we get along. Okay. If war was abolished, what fun ways could countries play out to settle differences?
They could shoot craps.
Oh,
we can have a crap game.
So for that, we are going to get you in contact with Switzerland. Okay. So be on the lookout for that winning email. Who do you know in real life that you would think would make a really good TV character?
A really good TV character. They have to still be alive?
Yeah, somebody you know in real life.
But they have to be alive now, or could they have passed on?
I didn't get that far in my thinking.
So my cousin Dredd
is
like the comedian. Like he sings about rain hitting the window pane. He's just, I mean, if a camera followed him around, he would be a millionaire easily,
There we
easily.
go. And he's still with us, or he's not?
Yeah, he's still with us. He's still with us.
Okay, good. So another fine actor coming out of your artistic family. Okay, I think that we might need to send that clip out.
Yeah.
We might need to get an audition tape of him ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's your job.
That's my job.
That's your job. That's what you want. Work. You want some work. That was a spontaneous prize, by the way. I just want to let you know.
Wait. Did you read that?
I didn't. I was trying to, and it went away. Maybe it says an Italian in Australia will throw you out for pineapple on pizzas. I know which Australian, I'm sure, but yes, I believe that. But I'm still gonna eat it. I'm still gonna ask for it. Love this question.
I change it too.
You change. Okay.
Well,
right. So, okay, I love this question because I'm a coffee drinker, and since you're off coffee for right now, you might be entertained by it. So, if coffee was illegal, right? Think about that shit for a minute. What would its street name be?
oh, wow. Okay, if it was illegal, dark magic.
Ooh.
Dark magic. You know what I mean? Because I don't care what coffee you have, it's always dark first.
Right.
Before you add anything
Gotta
to
be
it.
dark.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think black magic is taken.
Yeah,
so
we
it
can't
has
use
to
black
be
magic.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the prize goes to me because I knew that. Okay, let's see. You are about to be in an all-out brawl. Okay, so get your game face on for this one. What soundtrack is going to come out?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the Wu-Tang Saga soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going with that soundtrack. And
All
I don't even know what's all on it, but it's the Wu-Tang. Like, you can't go wrong. Like,
so it doesn't even matter which one came on. You'd be like, this is it.
It wouldn't even matter.
Right? And with that face that you just made, like, people would be backing off. People would be like, ooh, it's about to go down. See it part and everything, right? Awesome. So, I don't know if you're aware of this prize, but it is very popular on the show. So, we like to give out Amazon gift cards. I get in a lot of trouble because I'm really generous with my guests, but this is the 13th episode. I think that it went like exceptionally well. I was entertained. I think you might have been too, so we'll see. But for your participation and for you winning that, because that was a good answer, we're going to give you an Amazon gift card. And I know I'm going to get in trouble, but I'm pushing it up 36 cents. So I usually say don't spend it all in one place, but you know, have fun with it. Go wild. Just blow up Amazon with it.
I'm moving tomorrow now.
Right? Yeah, not like Amazon's my favorite place in the world. Anytime somebody says we need blah 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 for the house, I'm like, I'm on it.
Yeah, I hate shopping, so Amazon is my friend. I don't like going shopping at all.
People are surprised that I don't like to go out shopping. I don't like it. I want nothing to do with no. I don't like people getting in my way.
Yeah.
I don't like it if anybody's elbowing me or reaching for something that I'm looking at. Like, we have issues.
Yeah,
the Wu-Tang Saga song, it's coming out. Right? I have my own song, but
listen, I don't like being in Wally World at all. I hate that store.
Okay.
I hate it.
I cannot relate because I'm not familiar with it, but
Walmart.
When I come out that way, we could drive by it. Doesn't necessarily mean
you don't have Walmart out there.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, Walmart. It's Walmart.
I thought you were referring to specialty chain.
No, nothing special.
I must admit, I do see some very interesting people anytime that I do actually, in fact, have to get there.
Every
Yeah.
time.
Every time.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah, I wonder, I'll have to go through my pictures a few years back. I was in the US and I went to a Walmart and I seen this guy had on some pants. Like sparkly and it was awesome. I have to thank you for your time that you gave us tonight. I think it was a wonderful interview, and I loved getting to know more of your art past what I already knew. I hope that our audience was really pleased to meet you and get to know about you more. We had some beautiful comments, and I know that there are people who are outside of our community who will see this, so they're going to get to know Coach Joss Smalls and be very impressed, as we all are. So thank you so much.
No, it was a pleasure.
The link that we sent you to share the information about the show, as soon as we shut it down here, will be the replay. So you can watch it, send it to anybody and everybody, and share that about. So I would like to thank everybody for joining us, whether you were in the room for a little bit, a lot, the whole thing, or you come back on replay. We value you and love you lots, as much as we can love you from afar. This is Serious Shenanigans and Valerie Lorraine. Big thank you to our producer, Quentin Ford. He is wonderful at what he does, and he kept us going this whole time. So this is episode 13, Serious Shenanigans on the Let's Talk channel. Please do subscribe to our channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Do all of them. Do everything. And if I missed one, do that one too. So we will see you again when my guest is somebody just as special as our guest this week.
Thank you all.
Thank
you so much,
you.
Val.